Alright guys, Heat the Geek here with the Infinity Core video. I was going to try to do a Dreamborn type thing setup, but I was literally playing Harlan Sweet's list at the event because it was very last minute. Like I said, I got my ticket for the event like on the Wednesday or Thursday before the event, before that week of the event. So I had very little time to get my regular deck ready. So I didn't have really a whole lot of time to put any effort into an Infinity deck because I wasn't even sure if I was even going to go to DLC Milwaukee. I'm glad I did. I actually did better in the Infinity Core event than I did in the regular Core Constructed event. In my other video for the Core Constructed, I was playing Amber Steel aggro. I went 4-4. The Infinity Core, we didn't have a digital deck list. We had to write our deck list on paper, and I'm pretty sure they weren't even inputted into the system, which sucks. I actually kind of want to see the deck list of who did well in that event. It was only 7 rounds, not 8. But the problem is that because we only submitted paper deck lists, a lot of that information is probably just going to get lost in the ether. Only the people who were actually there playing the event, if they decide to do videos on it, like myself, that's the only way we're going to get any information on that event, since I don't think any of that information is probably going to be posted by Ravensburger, if they do, because there wasn't any really information tracked for the event, because we had the paper deck list. And I'm pretty sure there was a mistake on my deck list and they didn't catch it because I never got called out on it. So I was trying to write my deck list in a hurry. But it didn't matter anyway. I went 4-3 for this event. So technically a little bit better than the Core Constructed event. I definitely want to shout out the what was it, the guy that I played, the only Amber Steel that I actually played in that event. I think that was round 4. Gave me the win because he was heading out or whatever. So thanks you to that guy, because without that, I don't think I would have gotten to 4-3 to get my 3,200 tickets to get my Let It Go promo, or help me get on the path to that promo card. Thanks to that one win. The Infinity Core event was all steel. If you were not playing steel, you were not winning. Steel has the best removal in the format, and that's why you have to play steel, because if you're not playing steel, you can't answer your opponent's cards, and then you lose. This is also the format of low drops. The 2 decks that did the best were Sapphire Steel and Amber Steel by far, during that event. Every table I was surrounded by either Sapphire Steel or Amber Steel, and they were all playing just low drops. It was just basically just low drop spam, because Amber Steel has a buttload of low drops, 1 and 2 costs, and so does Sapphire Steel, that are semi decent. So yeah, I'm sorry, but if you're not playing steel, you're not winning in that format. You have to play steel. It could change as more sets come out, but because this is basically like modern format Magic, it's very unlikely that that's going to change anytime soon, unless they impose a ban list for Infinity format, and they haven't done that yet. So steel is going to be the best deck no matter what. Now you can play any flavor of steel as long as you're not playing like Ruby Steel. Sorry, Ruby still sucks. But as long as you're playing steel, you should be fine in the format. You can play any other color you want with it. You don't have to play Sapphire or Amber if you don't want to. Those are just the best 2. So for me in that event, I played 4 Sapphire Steels. The first four rounds I played were all Sapphire Steel. No, the first 3 were. Round 4 I played Amber Steel, the guy that gave me the win. Then the round after that I played a Sapphire Steel. I played 1 Red Steel that I won. And then I think it was just another Sapphire Steel. Oh, I played 1 Amethyst Steel, which I won. yeah, it was a crazy event, but I liked that Infinity Core event. I kind of liked it almost a little bit more than the Core Constructed event. Even though we were all playing the same decks, we all were kind of playing our own tweaks to it. I was playing Harlan Sweet's build almost card for card, even though it's like a month-old build. There's another build out there that's probably better than this one that actually plays with Ramp and Scrooge McDuck. But the format is wide open. I even saw another build that was very interesting. I saw 3 different variants of Sapphire Steel. There was my variant, or Harlan Sweet's variant, which is the Kiwi Bird build, or I like to call it the Alice build or the Ward build. I'll get to that in a minute. There's the other build that plays with the Ramp, Scrooge McDuck, Tamatoa. It's kind of like old school Sapphire Steel. And then one guy I played against who actually destroyed me, who was playing like basically anti-meta Sapphire Steel, which is basically all 1 and 2 drop challenging characters to just try to trade into you and then force you to run out of characters to play, and then you just lose. Is the anti-meta build to this build, and it worked very well. I was kind of surprised by that. The Amethyst Steel deck that I played against was pretty straightforward. Old school Amethyst Steel, really. But I think the Sapphire Steel kind of beats it just because of the ward. The ward, because Amethyst can't answer ward, can't deal with ward at all. Amethyst needs to be able to interact with your characters directly, and ward just prevents you from doing that. Amber Steel can just spam 1-drops. They have all the shift lines that are just low costs. That's the huge advantage to Amber Steel are those shift lines. The Queen, the old shift 2 5-drop Queen to sing songs. The Cinderella to sing songs. Old 1-drop Cinderella. All the singers, basically singers and shift lines, because Sapphire doesn't really have good shift lines at all. So Amber Steel is very, very good in the format because of that. And yeah, those are really the main 3: Sapphire Steel, Amethyst Steel, and Amber Steel. But I think Sapphire Steel and Amber Steel are just better because they have more options than Amethyst Steel does. Amethyst Steel is pretty much straightforward. I haven't seen any too many variants of that. But Harlan Sweet's build, as Alice build as I call it, is basically you have to play a different way. It's almost like a combo deck. But the main thing is you have Alice and Cogsworth, which are your 2 ward characters. Alice is ridiculously strong in this format. She's almost broken in this format. A lot of games I won depended and hinged on if I had Alice, if Alice had another character she could pair with, or if I had 2 Alices out. In this format, like double Alice is basically like double Tiana in the main format. Your opponent can't really do anything about it, and you just kind of lock them out of interaction. If you play Alice in Infinity 4 format, she sits there. She sits there for the entire game until she turns sideways, and the opponent can't do anything about it. The format is too fast for Grab Your Swords, so it's not a viable card to play in the format. And Alice being a big 1/4, even if they're playing like Big Tink, they're not killing her anytime soon as long as you don't turn anybody sideways. So a lot of times I would just play my 1-drop or 2-drop, wait for Alice, turn 3 just play Alice, and you just sit there and wait. Double Alice is really strong because you just have so much questing options that your opponent can't interact with. Double Alice in Cogsworth is almost a guaranteed win. Alice getting the resist 1, plus being able to make sure it's effectively a 1/5. It's too difficult for the opponent to even try to interact with her to try to kill her. If you can drop a Pluto with that, or if you have Force Sphere to give someone else bodyguard, because this is bodyguard on demand, the opponent is kind of just locked out. They can't do anything. Alice runs away with the game. One of the main combos is Alice and Nala is 6 lore. 6 lore, and they have to crash into the Nala to kill it. They can't target it because when Alice quests, she gives the other character 1 additional lore plus ward. So she can actually throw her ward around, which is just such a strong ability for this card. Giving the Pluto ward. So now they can't target ping the Pluto to make him a 1/5. They actually have to crash their guy into the Pluto while he's still a 5/5. So he's either trading or just outright killing their guy. Then they have to throw another guy into the Pluto to kill it because they can't just target it. Because a lot of people are spamming Zeus in this format, and Alice just stops you from doing that because you can't Zeus Alice. You also can't Zeus whatever she targets with her ability with Zeus. That's why Alice is so strong. It's also why Cogsworth is strong because he just inherently has ward. His resist one also kind of helps out a little bit here and there. Also, Alice and Gantu. You can just let Gantu stand, quest with Alice. They'll kill the Alice, but then Gantu has ward for the turn. They can't touch him. He gets the quest for 4 the next turn. Like, not much of a combo, but it's relevant enough to where it's like, yeah, you get a free quest 4 off. If you're, 16 or higher, you win the game. That happened a couple of times. And the opponent can't do anything about it because if he has ward, they can't touch it. And there isn't a card that gives a big enough spread damage to kill him to bypass the ward in the format, because the format is way too fast for that type of stuff. But those are the main cards that really work well with Alice. Alice works well with anyone, but primarily this build does hinge on Alice passing her lore and ward to other characters after she quests. Ideally, you want her to live, so you need to have a bodyguard. I feel like this is another deck build, kind of like the Amber Steel build, would benefit from a lower cost bodyguard that has high health, that also preferably inkable, not like the Prince who's uninkable. But Sapphire doesn't matter that much about that. That lets you quest with Alice more often. If you have a bodyguard, a lower cost bodyguard that can help with that, I think this build becomes a lot better. I have a lot of ideas for how to play with this build, but I love Alice in the format, and I kind of want to stick with it. That's why this build doesn't play any ramp, because this is actually kind of like an aggro Sapphire Steel build, because you don't need ramp, because really you're just trying to get to Alice, and then that is your curve, and then you're just trying to Alice quest until you win the game. Like Alice and Nala to quest 6, or Alice and Smee to quest for a decent amount, for 5 or 6. Belle just being kind of there as kind of like a beat stick that can sing every once in a while, but can still potentially quest for 2 that they can't target. Being able to give it to Pluto, Gantu. So there's like a lot of ways to really mess with the build and play with the build and improve it. That I was even as I was playing, trying to think of, like, there's a lot you can do with just this build, and Alice just kind of is a card that will only get better in the format as there's more cards introduced in the pool, especially if we get any more ward characters in the Sapphire Steel color combo that she can partner with, and she just becomes ridiculous, and she just gets stronger and stronger. Cogsworth as well. And I think a lot of people were really undervaluing ward in the format, because you really only have the 2 characters in this deck that have it. But Alice being able to pass it around, that a lot of people really forgot about. Even people are playing like, oh, I didn't know Alice did that. I thought she just gave out lore. It's like, no, she gives the ward too. That's why she's good. It's also why this build of this deck is also really good and doesn't even need ramp, because it's just like, you don't really need to ramp into anything. You're just trying to get to Alice, and Alice is just on 3. So there's no ramp in the build because you don't even need it. You still have the Hiram there to draw cards if you need it. Pot of Greed Rat. Your removal package. You don't play Zeus because you don't need it. Meduc Manor for some other lore. That's just to split your lore gain around to make the opponent think harder, really. Um, I didn't drop Meduck Manor a whole lot, but this is kind of like the oddball card in the deck. You still play it because it's basically just you have to view it as like a 9 health character that quests too, but it doesn't actually quest, it just sits there. So a lot of times, so the point to take the heat off Alice, the opponent doesn't try to focus her down, is just drop a McDuck Manor. And now they're like, oh, do I throw 2 characters into Alice to kill her, or do I have to throw like 3 characters in McDuck Manor to kill that, so you don't gain 2 lore for like 2 turns? Because that's how long it usually takes to kill McDuck Manor. It's usually 2 turns, so you usually get your 2 lore out of it, and then they'll focus it and kill it on the next turn. But because he has 9 health, they can't always do that. Also, you have Popsicle, so you can potentially, kind of, sneaky heal Alice. They try to ping it, but they don't kill it, or they throw a character in that doesn't kill it. Or Pluto is obviously to make him a 1/5, then you heal the damage off with Popsicle, and Pluto goes back to being a 5/5, and it's like, ugh, it's brutal. So yeah, I really really like this deck. This will probably be my affinity deck, until they impose some kind of a ban list or do something weird like that. I'm definitely gonna make more people aware of Alice and how strong she is in the form, because Alice is really really strong. I know the other Sapphire Steel builds don't play Alice, but I think that because their builds aren't focused on questing, they're basically trying to play mid-range control Sapphire Steel, which is old school Sapphire Steel, which was basically mid-range control. This is kind of more of an aggro-y combo build. It still has that mid-rangey element to it with the removal, but you're not hard controlling your opponent like old Sapphire Steel with like the Tamatoas and Hades, definitely, because you don't even get to 7 resources in this deck very very rarely, because then you don't play Hades. Once again, just like Amber Steel deck, the top of your curve is like 4. In this build though, you do have a couple of 5s that are very relevant when you need them, so then you will go up to 5. But going higher than 5 is like very very rare, because you really only need to get to 5 for Cogsworth or Gantu. Cogsworth if you want more protection for Alice, or Gantu when you're trying to close out the game. So a slightly higher curve than Amber Steel, but not too much, and it still plays almost the same, because you're still doing a lot of the combo-y low cost stuff, like with Nala and Mulan and Doc and Smee, but Smee's not in that format. But Smee's only in this format, but you get what I mean. So yeah, 4 and 3, got my 3,200 tickets. Really enjoyed playing this deck. I look forward to potentially more Infinity formats in the future. I mean, even an Infinity Store Championship would be kind of a cool idea. I would kind of like that instead of Core Constructed, but I don't think they'll ever do that. But that's kind of a cool idea. I would actually like to try that. I would definitely refine this list quite a bit if I did that. Like I said, I would like a lower cost bodyguard, like other than Pluto. Probably not even Pluto, because I don't like Pluto being a 4 cost with no ramp. It does take a while to get to him. I would prefer a 3 cost or a 2 cost bodyguard, would be a lot better. And Sapphire Steel. I don't know what else I would change though. Probably not 4 Gantus. You don't need 4 Gantus. You might not even need Gantu at all. Pete is a necessity. Smee's kind of eh. Mulan is just there for that low probability you don't draw a Popsicle or Fortis Field turn 1. Mulan's basically a Popsicle, unironically, but you have to discard for it. A Popsicle that can quest that you have to discard for. So that's why you still kind of play Mulan. Doc is also still there, just in case you run into Emerald Steel discard. Or you don't hit the hero. You need to have some other form of draw when you need it. The ramp build has that with Chichas. You don't have that luxury with this build because you're not ramping and you don't play Chichas, because Chichas kind of useless for you. So you have to play the Docs in this build. Just in case. They're not super relevant, but you do need to play the Docs just in case. I'm trying to think if that was it For this. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about Alice all day long. The card's great. I love Alice. Play Alice. If you play Sapphire Steel, play Alice. Alice is good. Trust me. But yeah, that's gonna be my Infinity Core deck review. Thanks to Harlan Sweet. Thank you for being here. My guest for this deck build. I don't know if I'll be going to the Indianapolis DLC. That's the next closest one, but that's not until next year. I'm absolutely not going to Virginia. Don't expect me to see you there. I don't chase the DLCs. Only if they're close by, then I'll go. But they have to be close by. I'm not traveling all over the United States for DLCs. So it may be another year. I mean, usually it seems like they'll do one in the Midwest each year. So I'll probably be another one next year that I'll go to. Get to play Infinity format again if none of my local stores run it. But yeah, be aware of Steel in the format. Steel is strong. Steel best deck. That's it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Until the next video, I'll see you all next time.